Andy, thanks so much for joining me. So I'm on with another tutorial on my Nature Notes journal. If you haven't seen the first parts, I think there's 2 parts, I think this is part 3. I will link them in the description box below. But if you go to my Journaling Joy monthly journals playlist, they'll be on there as well if I've forgotten to link it. And there's heaps and heaps and heaps of tutorials on there now, because I make one of these journals every single month, and every month the journal's different, so it's giving you heaps and heaps of inspiration. Okay, and the best way that you can support me, you don't have to purchase any of my papers, the best way that you can support me is to hit that subscribe button. I would be ever so grateful, because it really does help. The more subscribers I've got, the more likely YouTube will be to show my videos, and the more people we can reach, and the more people we can help and inspire and grow this little community. So without further ado, I've cut and prepped all of my pieces. So again, we're just cutting, measure your space, and you cut 1/4 of an inch shorter on the width and 1/4 of an inch shorter on the height. That's all you do to get that nice border. Okay, I've inked everything. This one on this envelope flap is just pinned on because I still haven't decided whether I'm going to round the corners or angle them. Okay, I've kept the colourways very simple, and that's why I like to include collage pages in my collections, because it's just quick and easy mat and layering. You've got lots of interest, and you don't have to worry about what colours go with what. And I'm sticking to the green. I've used the green on the front cover, so I'm just going to stick to the green on the cover for the in-between bits. And the plain decorative green pages just act as an accent for the collage, and then the collage is popping and you've not got too much fuss, so it makes it pop. Okay, so we've inked them all and we're just going to start and glue. All right, so what I have done with the pockets, I have cut my pieces for the pockets, and I've cut them 1 inch shorter than what I'd need them. Okay, so if it was going to fill the pocket, because this pocket's 6 inches, I'd cut it to 5 3/4. So I've cut this to 4 3/4, I think. Yeah, 4 3/4, which then gives me the opportunity to just do a little bit of paper piecing. It just breaks up that collage. Okay, a little bit like scrapbooking. You know, well, I say old-fashioned, it's not old-fashioned anymore. You know, it's always been there, just people are seem to be focusing on journals, but I love to mix and match techniques from other paper crafting styles in with my journals, and scrapbooking is a massive source of inspiration for me. So these are just, so I've left 1 inch, and these are 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and you just mat and layer them on, leaving yourself a small gap. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect, do it by eye. Okay, but when you're paper piecing like this, what you're doing is you're aiming to get that central, and then so long as this one's kind of lined up with the top and bottom of that one, so that it's kind of straight, it's just gonna look nice. And it's just a way of using your papers in a decorative way without having to, you know, stick on heaps of embellishments and this, that and the other, and the paper then is doing the work for you, which is what we want. Yeah, we want to showcase the beautiful papers. We don't want loads of bulky embellishments, because these journals, the Journaling Joy journals that I do every month, are writing journals. So hence we have a lot of plain pages that aren't decorated, because we want to be able to write in them. Okay? Because so many times I will see on forums and groups, well, what do you do with, what's the point of them? What do you do with them? Well, you know, you journal in them, write in them, take them on holiday and write your memories as you go, and maybe add in bits of things from your holidays, or a gratitude journal if you think you need to be a bit more grateful. You can journal each day about things you're grateful for, you know, and it's mindful. It helps with your mental health, helps keep you on track and stay grateful and all of that. Or maybe you are, you know, you do Bible study, maybe you want a prayer journal or a Bible journal, or maybe you want to doodle in it or do art in it or whatever you want. But that's why we, you know, keep the fancy bits to these to a minimum so that there's room in them for whoever gets it, or if you're using it yourself, for you to, you know, for it to grow and for it to develop. Because if you've already filled a journal full of all your own decorative ideas and then you want to gift it or you want to use it, that's when it's sat on a shelf and you're like, well, I don't really know what to do with it. So we make functional journals anyway, long story short. I do sometimes make fussy decorative journals with loads of ephemera. I love making them because they're a work of art in themselves, aren't they? Fantastic things to do. Right, so I'm going to leave the spine and we're going to put some eyelets in. Took me ages to decide what I was going to do, but we are having eyelets. Which way up's this paper going? Don't really think it matters with busy patterns like this, and that's another reason why I chose this pattern, because it doesn't really matter what orientation it goes in, so it makes your life a little bit easier. Up there for thinking, down there for dancing. Okay. I'll layer in there later because I will literally use, you know, I'll have a look. When I've done, I'll have a look through my scraps. And because it's just the inside of a pocket and that's an inside flap, I'll use up scraps. I won't, you know, purposely cut into a piece just for there. I won't. I will use up my scraps at the end. So like I say, I'm not adding that on yet, I don't think. I might just decide in a minute what we're going to do. Now, I've decided that I don't need magnets on here. I'm going to make sure that my journal's nice and full so that when this closes, it's not in any way, shape or form going to need any other stability elements. It's going to be fine. Okay. If you've wrapped yours covering cardstock, you may find that it's a little bit sturdier. Wrapping them in fabric, in the fabric tape like I do, makes these gussets very flexible. So it makes your frame of your book move a bit more, you know, move about a bit more. But, which can be a downside, but the upside is these are never going to crack. They're never going to crack. In a million years. Never going to happen. Right, so I can layer this on here now. Just let me push those as hard as I can. Okay. So if you're stuck when it comes to the larger matting, just use the collage sheets and just chop them up. It doesn't matter if the, you know, if that one doesn't follow on from that one. That's the beauty of collage. That's the beauty, and that's why I add them. Take some of the hard work and the guesswork out of matting and layering when you've got collage sheets. And I'm a bit of a lazy crafter. If I can think of a get around for something, then work smarter, not harder, and all that baloney. Baloney, not baloney. Right, just making sure that that's even. And that's all of that mat. I'm going to have to do this because this is going to bother me. Flapping about in the wind. I am ever so sorry if I'm coughing on my videos lately. I had a very, very, very bad bout of, well, whatever, virus, flu, whatever it was. And since then, I cannot shift this cough. Probably got blooming long COVID now in my luck. Right, I'm going to go for the 1/2 inch one. 1/2 inch round. It's always easier to do before you put it in your book, but, you know, sometimes I like to make life hard for myself. I'm just going to round it. When you round your corners on things, it stops them getting beat up. Stops them getting all well beat up. Right, so it's that way. So I need these 2 corners. And then I can do my paper. Okay. So whatever size corner rounder you use on the cardstock, just make sure you use the same one on your paper and you'll get the same. Don't cut very well on paper, doesn't that? You'll get the same angle. Can you see? Yeah, once it's layered in, you've got the same angle. So I'm just going to ink it. quick warning, if you're inking with your distress ink and you leave the lid off like I do, just be careful, because what I ended up doing was, I ended up accidentally putting my cover over there, and I've got a little bit of distress ink on what is going to be my front. Now, I'm not too worried, because, you know, it'll just, it doesn't look so bad, but just be careful. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, so that way into it. Let's get this on here, and then we're going to do the eyelets. Now, I have done some of my journal pages, but not all of them. So I'll do the eyelets, and then I'll show you how to attach the cards. I'll slip my journal signatures in, but I am going to be adding to them. That won't be the last, you know, the completed thing. And I will come back in a day or so and show you what I've done in my signatures to give them interest. Okay, so on here I'm just going to do a policy style closure. Very simple, 2 circles, add on with either brads or eyelets. Oh, I should have done that before I did that bit. What an idiot. Let me think now. I might have to do it a different way. Let me think. Yeah, that's well glued down. I can't start removing it. I'll think of a way to close that. If you're going to put policy style closures with eyelets or brads, you might want to add your brad before you glue your bucket down. I'm an idiot, but what I can always do is do them on a small piece of scrap black card and then glue it on. I'll figure it out. Right, so doing our eyelets. So our spine, if I remember rightly, is 1 3/4. No, is it? Or is it 1 1/2? It must be 1 1/2, because the other one's 1 5/8. 1 1/2, right? Yeah. I'll measure it there where I can see it better. 1 1/2. So I'm going to make a mark at, so half of 1 1/2 is 3/4 of an inch. So let's make a mark at 3/4 of an inch. I want to go down about at least 1/4 of an inch, which is there. Okay. Okay, let me get a pencil. So I'm going to go down 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to make a mark. Okay. Then along there, I'm going to line my ruler up, and I'm going to make a mark at 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Then I'm going to go, where am I going to go? Yeah. So then 1/2 inch that way and 1/2 inch that way, which leaves you 1/4 of an inch each side and 1/2 inch in between each signature. So from the edge of the spine there, mark at 1/4 of an inch, and from the edge of the spine there, which is 1 1/2, mark at 1 1/4. So you've got 3 evenly spaced marks. 1, 2, 3. One's in the middle. This one's 1/4 of an inch in from there, and this one's 1/4 of an inch in from there. And then we're going to do the same at the bottom. Okay, do not do it by eye. Measure it. I mean, I'm all for nothing needs to be perfect. But when it comes to this, if you don't want your eyelets wonky, you'll take time to measure. So I'm going to measure 1/4 of an inch up and do a pencil mark, because I also want them not only just spaced evenly, but I want them the same distance from the outer edge of the cover. And some things you just have to take time over and do carefully. So I'm finding the middle of my 1 1/2 inch spine again, which is 1/4 of an inch, making a mark. And then 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch from the edge, which is there. And 1/4 of an inch from there, which is there. So that one, and that one. Take your time. get your eyelet setter, and then you can actually set this so that it's 1/4 of an inch deep. Okay, so that you know you're not going any deeper than 1/4 of an inch. Use the larger hole. Okay, hold on. That's not 1/4 of an inch. Let's have a look. That's 1/2 an inch. So 1/4 of an inch is there. Okay. And then if you set that, then every hole that you punch is going to be at the same depth. If you don't have one of these, then you can use a pokey tool, or because we've used chipboard, I don't think a standard hole punch would work. There's always ways around it. If you can afford to invest in one of these, which is a crocodile, they're not the cheapest of things, I will say, but I would absolutely 100% recommend them. Let me just take time over this because I don't want it to be wonky. Okay, just checking my setting hasn't moved. Let me just check my setting hasn't moved. And it has. So this little setting here could move, so don't rely on it 100%. Make sure you double check. Line that one up. Okay, and double check that you're lined up. Don't rely on tools. Are not, you know, infallible. They are liable to error, so check and check. Just because if you don't get it perfect, it can look a little bit wonky on the outside. But let me just check the depth. So I'm putting it back over there. That's fine. And once I've got one lined up. Oh, it's moved. Well done. Quarter of an inch. It keeps moving. I think my guide must be like a little bit slack. A bit like me, I suppose. Right, that's the right depth. Okay. Well, let's do this one first. Oh, I feel like that's a little bit. I'm just going to move it a tiny bit. Okay. There we go. Happy with that. And the next one. Where is it? Oh. I'm gonna line that. Yeah, that's right. Over a bit. There we go. I've got that spot on. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It's not the end of the world. It's one of them things where, you know, nobody's gonna die or anything, are they? It's just paper. But it just makes for and you'll be more happier with your results if you take time and do it. That one's a little bit too close to the cover, see? Never mind. Never mind. I'm fuming. Fuming. Right, so that one is too close. It needed to be a bit further down, but that's what I mean. You've got to keep triple and double checking. Right, I'm going to set these eyelets and then I'll be back. Okay, so that's my eyelets set. Now the bottom one that was a little bit out of line, can you just see there? It's just a hair width. When you look at it from a distance with one eye closed, you'll never notice it. No, in honesty, it doesn't look that bad. We'll get away with it. So, then all you do, if you've seen this before, I am sorry, but I always like to do everything like somebody's watching that's never, you know, that we were always told at school when we did our science to do things like you're talking to an alien that's just come to Earth and doesn't understand and has never seen what you're on about. And if anybody can follow it, then you've done a good job. Okay. So how am I going to do this now? Let me have a think. I hate the strings showing at the other side. So I'll probably make a sleeve for them. I've done that before. Okay. So there we go. So that's one. Now I might not have enough elastic, in which case I'll do what I can from the black elastic. And then I'll do one from white elastic and then go and order some more. So these want to be tight, but not so tight that, you know, you don't want them pulling on your pages. So start off with them quite slack. You can always tighten them at a later date if you've got plenty of this. And this elastic is about 6mm, I think, because I found this white one and this is thinner and this is 4. So this is either 5 or 6mm. Anything from 4 upwards will do, but you don't want it like a, you know, a sausage. You don't want it like a sausage, and all you've got to do is tie them in the middle, okay, and just do 3 separate ones. There's a fancier way of doing it, but I don't want to complicate it for people. So we're just going to do it in 3 separate strings, okay. If you've got plenty of elastic, cut it really, really slack. Really slack. I don't have plenty, so I'm trying to make it go a bit further. Because what you don't want is you don't want these so tight that they're pulling on your pages too much. Okay, when you put your pages in. So it's one of them things that you don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too slack. Oh, it just comes with experience, okay? And you can adjust it as you go. It's not that big of a deal. Get these bits of dust off. Feed it through the top. And if you're an experienced crafter, you might do things a different way to me. You might know easier ways of doing things. If you've got any suggestions, I'm absolutely open to it. Just leave it in the comments, as long as it's constructive and not mean, or I'll cry. But if you have any suggestions of how you do things easier, you might be looking at me thinking, blimey, Amanda, if you did this, you'd get it done a lot easier. I'm absolutely open to that. Leave me a comment. Right, so those are our strings. So here are my signatures so far. Okay, that's going to need thingy in. That's going to need what they call it in. I'm going to need to put a closure on. So my monthly one, okay, I'm going to put in the middle. Okay, like so. And then these are my 2 main signatures. So one's going to go in the first one. Okay. And one will go in the back. Now I might add something else underneath this. I'm thinking of adding some kind of acetate pocket so that you can slip memories in along with that. And then these will become bulkier once we've added some pockets and some bits and bobs and some whatever have yous. But that is our main journal, and you know, it's lovely. It lays nice and flat. Okay, we've got goodness knows how many pages. We'll talk about that in the next. I think I've done about, let me tell you how many I've put in so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We won't count the doilet. 7, 8, 9, ticket, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I've done 14 pages, and I've done the same in this one so far. I may be adding more, but we'll see. So then our journal will go like so, it'll go like so, and it'll close. Okay, and then as I've got lots of space in there, we will be adding more stuff, and that will be fantastic. And then this cover will stay flush because we're going to fill it. We're going to fill it. We're going to put lots of things in there. So there you go. That's my journal so far, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.